So I put this question on the left together. We can use that to test our understanding of both the money market edge and forward. So please pay attention to this. JD is a UK company trading in the US. Spot code has been given, and at that spread, you can see we need to convert that to standard rate. So we need to calculate how much all of this will happen in our local currency, because the guy is meant to receive $500,000 in a month's time. So it's a UK company. It's only trading in the US. So it has transactions in US dollars, which he eventually needs to settle in his local currency, which is pounds, right? And you can see there's a month delay and there's a 3 months delay for all these transactions. So within those delay period, he will be having sleepless nights, because the rate can jump to anything, can increase his liability or reduce his asset. Remember, receipt of $500 is account receivable, and payment of $300 in 3 months is an account payable in the future. So it's got both asset and liability. Which means he needs to hedge his risk so he can sleep with his eyes closed in the night. Loan rate is the same thing as borrowing rate, and deposit rate is the same thing as investment rate. And that is how you might be given in exams. So they might give you as investment rate, or they might give you as deposit rate. They are the same thing. Or they give you as loan rate, or they give you as borrowing rate. They are the same thing. So this is the information for money market workings, and I've also included forward quotes for you. For 1 month discount, 3 month discount. What this means is that this discount will have to be added to the spot, to get the forward quote for 1 month and to get the forward quote for 3 months. All of this we will do together. But I want us to use the steps that we just looked at, in our previous video, to solve this particular question. So I'm going to be using those steps to practice. If you don't have it, I can just flash it quickly. And this is it. You can see. Remember, we looked at this. Now, receipt of 500,000 will fall into this, which is an asset, and the payment of 300,000 here will fall into a liability. So we use this first column for the first question and second column for the second question. But remember, the first thing we always have to do is to determine. So let's start to solve the first question, which is receipt of 500k. So we want to use money market edge. And the first step in money market edge is to determine objective of the money market. Objective of money market. And I told you the objective of money market is always the opposite of your current situation. The current situation is a receipt of 500,000, which means you have an account receivable, which is an asset. So which means your objective of money market will be to create a liability of same amount in a month's time, 500k in 1 month. So which means you must have a liability or account payable of $500,000 exact amount in 1 month's time, so that in 1 month's time your AR and AP will be 0, because this will be plus 500k dollars and this is minus 500k dollars. And if you have both in foreign currency, they are matched, perfectly matched, and the impact is 0, then you won't have to worry. That is why you're always creating money market objective that is opposite to the situation you have found yourself. So that is what our objective is. Then the next step, we said to achieve that is to go into the what amount do you now need today? What amount do you need to have today such that you're able to create this liability? You want to borrow money, right? How much should you borrow today? How much? Because liability is borrowing. That's what you want to do. So how much do you need to borrow today such that so let me write this in sentence for you, so it's easy. So what we want to do is to determine amount of dollar to borrow today such that the principal borrowed and when you borrow money you will pay interest. It's not for free. So an interest accrued will be equals to 500,000 in 1 month. And that is why they've given you this table and the rate. Yeah, but please note that once they are quiet on the duration of the rate, it is annual rate that have been given. So mostly your money market question will always be that in 3 months, in 1 month, in 6 months. Hardly would they give you in 1 year. So you always mostly have to adjust these rates to monthly rates, to quarterly rates, depending on what you are working with, the duration of your transaction. So for this one, duration is 1 month. So our rate needs to be converted to monthly rate, right? So what this English is saying, if we convert it to mathematics, is that it's saying that the principal you will borrow plus the interest you will accrue in 1 month must be equals to 500,000. Because we need to determine principal. I remember interest amount is equals to principal times rate. And we already know our rate is the borrowing rate in the US, which is this guy, 7.5%. So 7.5% is annual rate. We need to divide it by 12 to get the monthly rate. So that will give you 7.5 divided by 12. That is 0.625%. So this is the rate that we need. So which means if I go back to this equation, the original equation, principal plus 0.625, I'll substitute this for this interest. So 0.625% times principal, yeah, which is this, is equals to 500K. Yeah, which means that our principal will be equals to, let me not jump a step because of people that might not like mathematics. I'm tempted to jump a step there, but I will break it down. Let me be patient with you. Okay, so that will be equals to P plus 0.625% is divided by, that's 0.625 divided by 100, and that will be 0.00625P. Yeah, it still equals to 500K. So if you add 1P and 0.0625P together, it becomes 1.00625P equals to 500K. And with this, the P equals to 500K divided by 1.00625. And that will be equals to, let's see what that is, 500,000 divided by 1.00625, and that will give us 496. So principal is equals to 496,894.41. So that is the dollar amount that we need to borrow today. That is this part that we have dealt with. This one. That's the amount that we need to borrow today. Because by the time we borrow this amount today, the interest will accrue on it for 1 month. And we can test it. So let's test it. This is just for you to understand. Not like you have to do it in exams, please. So 7.5%. If you borrow this amount at 7.5% per annum, in 1 month, we'll pay 7.5% divided by 12 interest. Multiply by 496,894.41. So our interest for 1 month, yeah, interest for 1 month will be equals to that 7.5 divided by 12 divided by 100. So our interest equals to 3,105.59. So if this is our interest, our objective is to have principal and interest that will be 500. So let's see whether that holds. Principal plus interest we said must be 500k in 1 month's time. So if we borrow this today, we accrue this interest in 1 month. What is the total? Let's add the two together. Plus 496,894.41. That perfectly gives us 500,000. So you can see it holds. I just use this to show you so that you get confident and comfortable. And you too, you can test it just to as you progress. Because this is a time to practice and experiment everything before exam, so that before exam you are confident and you are ready to go. Okay? So we know the amount. So we now can go to step B, which is borrow it. Yeah. So borrow the FX. You see, it's the same steps that I gave you in the previous discussion. So borrow the FX amount. Yeah. And do what? Convert today. No, we are still working today. We are not allowing any exchange rate movement. We want to convert that FX impact today. That is our objective. So convert to local currency. That's our step. And if we are doing it today, we'll be using spot rate. So what's our spot rate? Our spot rate was given here, but with a spread, so we can, by now you know how to give spot rate. Rate in standard format. So we're going to deduct 0.003, which is the buying rate, which has to be smaller. So 1.975, this one, minus this, will be the buying rate. Minus 0.003. So our buying rate is 1.972. Our selling rate will be 1.978. Yeah, this is $/pounds. So dollar is first currency and pounds is the second currency. Now, rate interpretation comes in, because you need to know, are you using this rate or you are going to use this rate? And remember, I gave you steps to interpret your rate. I said before anything, two things you must know is that you must always interpret, at bank's perspective and also at second currency perspective. So, which means that bank buys £1 at $1.972 and bank sells £1 at $1.978. Remember, pounds is the second currency. Any currency at the back is always the second currency. This is your buy rate and this is your sell rate. Right. And bank perspective. So you've done the interpretation, then what is the company objective? That is the next thing. Yeah? Company we've borrowed this amount and we want to sell it. So company wants to sell how much? 496,894. 496,894 $0.49, right? Yeah, 0.41. So company wants to sell this. So which means company wants to sell dollars. Yeah? But to make it easier for us, we need to deal with it, say it in second currency, because dollar is the first currency. So which means if company is trying to sell dollars, that means company is trying to buy pounds. So company wants to buy pounds. At this point, your life is easy. Because if company is buying pounds, they are buying pounds from the bank. Always. The transaction is always with the bank. And if you are buying from the bank, it means the bank is selling. So what rate will the bank sell? Bank will sell at 1.978. So which means your rate is 1.978 to you. So rate is $1.978 for £1. So now we know £1 is equivalent to $1.978, and we are dealing with 496,894. Yeah, so which means this will be 1 times 496,894 divided by 1.978, and that gives us in pounds how much we will get. That's 496,894 divided by 1.978, and that gives us 251,210 pounds. 251,210.31 pounds. So this is the pounds we'll get today, and you can see everything we have done here is happening today. So we are not exposed, and we have cancelled out because we've already borrowed this amount. Interest will start accruing on it, and by 1 month's time it will be a liability of 500k. So we have liability of 500k. By the time this guy pays us this receipt that we are waiting for, by the time he pays us, we'll just use that payment that he gives us to settle our liability. So as we receive $500,000 from our debtors, we just use it to clear this liability. Right? So the future has been taken care of. Now today we have this amount. But remember, this is today. It does not stop there, because these transactions, everything will end in 1 month's time. You must move everything together in 1 month's time. And what am I trying to say? What I'm saying here is the fact that you will not fold your hands and just keep £251,000 for 1 month without doing nothing. So you need to invest it. So invest the money. Yeah, you need to do that, because you will be stupid to say, anyway, I already don't have any exposure again to exchange rate, so everything is fine. It depends on how the question also is framed. Sometimes the question will just ask that, how much will they receive? Yeah, or they ask you what is the total pounds that the client or the company can realize. Yeah. So if it is how much they need to borrow, which is another question they can ask, this is how much they need to borrow. Yeah. If it is how much pounds you will realize this plus the investment income. So invest the pounds. So at the investment rate, which is the deposit rate for pounds, and that's 4%. So that will be at 4%, and it's just 1 month, so divide by 12. So 4 divided by 12, that's 0.333333%. Right? So invest at this rate. So which means you will get interest of how much? This 0.333% multiplied by 251. So you get additional money. That will give $828.99 pounds rather. That's the interest you will earn by investing this amount today in 1 month's time. That's what we'll get. So which means, remember in our step C, we need to accrue the interest on liability and asset as well. So all the total, so we're gonna, let's have like a table. So on settlement date, let's say this is settlement date. You're going to have two assets actually. Asset 1, which is your guy will pay you. Yeah, remember the question. They said there's a receipt of $500 that we're expecting. So that will be $500 that will come in. Asset 2 is the principal that we converted a month ago, and the interest will end on it. If we add the both together, that's 251,210.31 plus 828.99. That will give us a total, but that's a pound asset. In a month's time, we're going to have 252. 252,039.3. Then we're going to have another liability, the only liability which we created earlier on, which is also principal plus interest. We borrow this amount, this interest accrued, by in 1 month's time it has become $500,000. So another liability of $500,000. So you can see that this guy has cancelled out this guy, and that's why we are not exposed in a month's time. And what we now have in a month's time is this local currency. But we're able to achieve this because of what we did before the 1 month expiry. We did it on the spot today. We did everything today. And in a month's time, we were able to have this. So we already know in today that in a month's time, we're going to have this asset. Whatever the exchange rate is doing is not our problem. Whether it's going up or it's going down is not our problem, because we've been able to eliminate our foreign exchange fluctuation risk. And I hope that is clear. And I'm going to solve the payment part as well.